So last night I went to Bible study with my family, and in that discussion, there's a girl who's kind of talking about the problem that she felt where she didn't have a lot of room in her life to focus on spirituality or her relationship with God. Or I shouldn't say that's true. She does spend, I think, a good amount of time on that stuff, but just feeling like she didn't have the margin to maybe have the proper, fully devoted time or space. And my response was that our circumstances are sometimes outside of our control. Often they are. And if you feel like there's not enough time or opportunity for you to connect with God, we have to realize God's in control of some of that stuff. And if we're overwhelmed, we need to learn how to depend on Him even in those circumstances. Because it's not our margin of time, our free time, that keeps us going. That's not what we depend on. We depend upon God. And when we are overwhelmed is one of the very best times to learn how to depend on God. And he is sufficient to take care of us in those times. It doesn't necessarily require a change of circumstance. He can work with the circumstances that we have. And I said this in regards to the fact that right now I'm busier than I've probably ever been in many ways. But my relationship with God is not suffering. In fact, it is thriving because I am relying on Him and trusting on Him and believing that for this time and this season, the fact that I don't have a lot of time to rest and relax is just part of the way that He's shaping me and growing me. And so I need to trust in Him, and I need to let Him be the thing that carries me through. And what I shared was there was a time in my life when I had a lot of circumstances that I was very unhappy about. This was before I was married. I was living at my parents'. I had a bunch of debt. I had a job and a career situation fall through that was pretty rough. And I didn't have a lot of direction or plan or any of this. And what I chose to do is I said, well, okay, God, you've put me in this place for a reason. This is the circumstances that I have right now. And instead of just focusing on what the circumstances are, I'm going to just thank you for them. And so I actually said a prayer, and I tried to make this into a habit of thanking God for all of those circumstances, thanking Him that I was living at my parents' house, thanking Him that I had this debt, which at least was making me conscious not to acquire any more. It was helping me not to be frivolous. I thanked Him for my singleness because I knew that this was an experience that I needed to go through to learn things and grow. And that act of just thanking God for all the things that ultimately were the things I was most upset about had a profound impact and a very positive change. And it didn't change my circumstances. It changed my heart, and it changed my attitude. And over time, those circumstances did change. But then I was able to appreciate it a lot more. And through the change of those circumstances, I realized that God brings more challenges and more difficulty. But because I know that He's brought me through some of those challenges in the past, He's going to be faithful to help me get through those challenges in the future. And as I woke up this morning, I was thinking that while I didn't put a ton of stock into politics or anything like that, it seems like there's not a big change either way, really. It's a lot of maintenance of the status quo. And there's some kind of bad decisions that seems like people are making. It doesn't seem like there's much change overnight because of an election. And I think that's just something to realize, that God is in control, and we can't put our hope in just politicians to do what we want for us. Like, we need to be working on whatever the plan is that God has, and we need to put our trust and our faith in Him, and not into politics or anything like that. And so we have to ultimately say, this is the circumstance that I'm in right now, and you've put me here because you have something for me to do, and I can't wait for circumstances to change to start doing your work. I need to do your work now, and if the circumstances change, then that's great, and maybe it will be for the better. But it's not so that I can just relax and not worry. It's so that I can be ready to do the next thing that there is, which will probably also be something difficult. So what I wanted to share here was a song that I wrote, and when I was talking to Chad a couple weeks ago, he got me thinking about just music that I had done in the past. And this is a song that I wrote, and I had somebody else sing on it, and I listened to it because I hadn't listened to it in probably a few years, and I think that it holds up okay. It's not perfect. It's got some issues. There's some things maybe I would have changed a little bit different, but for what it is, I think it's a good message, and it really is about remembering that God is over all this stuff, and He's in charge of everything, and his plan is not going to fail. Though we may suffer, though we may experience difficulty, it doesn't mean that God is any less capable. And I'm encouraged to think of the fact that there's no circumstance that we go through that is greater or worse than what He has experienced and what he sees and knows and understands. So anyway, I just thought I would give that little preface and share this song, and I can't imagine that it would be struck for copyright claims or anything, because it's just friends at my old church that helped do it with me. So hopefully this is something that is enjoyable and is a blessing to your day. Thank you.